Hello and happy spring. Definitely spring here. I hope you are seeing signs of spring where you are as well. Today is April the 28th of 2021. I'm Ms. Shepherd. We're here today for the Buddhist services and I'm really happy to be here. Ms. Ross.
Yeah, thanks, Ms. Shepherd. I too am happy to be here. Been thinking about you all as always, knowing that we all get a little restless when spring comes. As my friends keep reminding, it's just something else to practice with all that restlessness. But just hoping that something we share here today will help you, and if nothing else, just know that we're thinking of you and we're with you in spirit. Back to you, Ms. Shepherd.
Thank you. So we'll run the session today as usual. I'll go and light the candles and the incense. We're going to do a slightly different chant today. I'm going to read it in English and then I'll chant it in Pali. The focus today is wishing well for yourself. And so we'll do a guided meditation. I might bring that up during the meditation. Then I want to talk for just a bit, and then I have a couple of little snippets from a monk from Portugal that I thought, he's speaking in English, that I thought I might play. And then we'll talk about all of that a bit more and hopefully have a brief meditation at the end before we end. So I will go and light the candles. By this practice, in accord with the true Dhamma, I honor the Buddha. By this practice, in accord with the true Dhamma, I honor the Dhamma. By this practice, in accord with the true Dhamma, I honor the Sangha. May I be free from enmity. May I be free from hurtfulness. May I be free from troubles of body and mind. May I be able to protect my own happiness. Whatever beings there are, may they be free from enmity. Whatever beings there are, may they be free from hurtfulness. Whatever beings there are, may they be free from troubles of body and mind. Whatever beings there are, may they all be able to protect their own happiness. Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipatiya Buddhang pujemi. Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipatiya dhammang pujemi. Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipatiya sanghang pujemi. Ahang awero homi. Abhyapacho homi. Anigo homi. Sukhiyatanang pariharami. Sabe sata awera hontu. Sabe sata abhyapaja hontu. Sabe sata aniga hontu. Sabe sata sukhiyatanang pariharantu. breathing. Feeling your own body, breathing in, breathing out. Perhaps taking 3 deeper breaths. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and filling the lungs. Breathing out completely. And one more large inhale. Holding for a second or two. And then a complete exhale. Either taking a few more deep breaths if you wish, or returning to your normal breathing. Just connecting into the breath. And particularly into the breathing body. Right now. Seeing if that might help release the busy mind that might have been there before. Release the tendency to be thinking about what's coming next. Doing what you may, what you are able to do to come into the body right now, however it is. Whether it's at ease or busy, whether it's sleepy or awake, whether it's tight, anxious, happy, discouraged, however it is. Just coming into the body exactly as it is right now. And wishing it well. What would it feel like to wish this body and mind and heart well right now? Regardless of any conditions the body is facing, regardless of external situations, how might there be goodwill, kindness for the body right now? Goodwill for yourself right now. What would that be? How would that feel? And of course, one way to offer ourselves goodwill is by allowing the body to be at ease. Noticing any places where there is tension, tightness, a shutting down. And seeing if any of those places can be released even just a little. With each exhalation, relaxing, letting go, settling into this very moment. Not resisting anything that may be present. Opening the heart to whatever is here. Relaxing the body to whatever is here. Noticing any ways in which we may have tensed against something, against a situation, against a thought, against a feeling. And instead of tensing, opening, widening, softening. Breathing. Letting the simple rhythm of the breath be a resting place. A place of refuge. A place where nothing else is needed, but just breathing in and breathing out. Maintaining alertness to notice what are the things that pull you away, that tell you you can't rest here. You need to be thinking about something, worrying about something, tensing against something. Just notice if that happens and see if you can open to that. Relax into letting that be here too. Reestablishing attention just with the body, the breathing body. Letting this simple moment be enough. Knowing nothing needs to be added. Knowing that's a great kindness to yourself. That's a way of wishing yourself well, giving yourself these moments of quiet, of openness, of refuge. So there are a couple of things I thought I would talk about today. So the first one is kind of an admission, I guess. We've talked about the hindrances here, and one of them you may recall is doubt. And I have been, I guess struggling is a good word, with doubt lately, and especially around these recordings. So, and I know it, I've, I think, seen my way through it, but it's been hard. And the doubt has been around because we don't get any feedback from you and we don't see you live. It's really hard to feel I guess confident, which is the opposite of doubt. And to know that, I am white, I'm a woman, I am not incarcerated, I have never been arrested. And to wonder what happens is that I can start to feel alienated. I can feel like, what do I possibly have to say that might be of help? I don't understand what they're facing. I don't understand what it's like to be there where you are. My family is likely different than your family because every family is different. And so I get filled with doubt and I think, oh, it's useless. I shouldn't do this. I'm not very helpful. It can't make a difference. And that's the definition of alienation. And that's so much what the Buddha taught, is that this sense of separateness that we feel is ignorance. It's untrue. So what I have to do when that happens is remind myself that all those other things are true, that the specific circumstances of our lives, certainly right now and maybe for a long time, are different. And those differences are real and deserve to be acknowledged. But what's not different is dukkha, is suffering, is the ways in which we get caught, just like I got caught in doubt. The ways in which we all want to be happy, the ways in which we all sometimes do things that don't make us happy, that cause us suffering and that we don't know what to do about it, and we keep doing the same thing over and over and causing more and more suffering. The ways in which we become addicted to unskillful mental patterns, the ways in which we close our hearts, that those things are not different. The conditions that generate some of those things may be very different. But the qualities that the Buddha pointed to, this idea of suffering and the end of suffering, those things have stayed the same ever since the Buddha taught them 2,500 years ago, almost 2,600 years ago. And that's what I need to remember too, when doubt arises, when I think, oh, I shouldn't do this anymore, it doesn't help. What do I know? That's just doubt. And it's not a helpful mind state. It's unskillful. It's ignorant. It closes down my heart and it separates me from other people. So the last few weeks have been a learning for me. Not one I expect will disappear forever. I expect I will continue to work with this because it's certainly one that's happened before. But each time I remember, no, it's not true. I am connected to other people. Our humanity is what connects us. Our understanding and empathy and compassion for each other is what connects us. So thank you for the teachings you've been offering me. And part of this teaching is the one that I want to talk very briefly about, and then have this monk I mentioned talk to you about it. And this is that the way we get caught in that kind of doubt, in that kind of sense of alienation, sometimes begins when we aren't wishing ourselves well, when we are critical of ourselves, when we are judgmental of ourselves, when we don't think we're enough. And so what this monk is saying in his talk is that the foundation that he really is encouraging us to establish is a foundation of wishing ourselves well, and learning how to feel that in our own bodies, how to feel when it's not there, when we've tightened up against ourselves, and how to feel when there is a sense of comfort, ease, well-wishing towards ourselves. Because that refuge of well-wishing towards ourselves is the ground that allows us to extend it to others, to make that connection with other beings. If we don't feel settled and contented in ourselves, we're not able to cross that divide to connect with others too. And of course, that being able to connect with others it's like a loop. The more we're able to connect with others, the more we feel confident and contented in ourselves, because we are connected. We are all together. And forgetting that is what makes us sad, makes us suffer. So let me play for you a little bit of, I'm going to play two little segments of this. I'm going to close this screen, sorry. Two little segments of this monk. So his name is Ajahn Vajiro. He is an abbot at a monastery in Portugal. And thanks to the internet, I can now get teachings from him and bring them to you, which is astounding. He is English. Well, actually, he was born in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, but he is English by birth. His family was English. And he, of course, is speaking in English. So let me play these two little segments for you. Except, of course, now I've lost it. Oh, here it is. I have a little piece of paper with the times. Okay. So this first one is about 4 minutes, and then there's another one that's also about 4 minutes.
Existence depends on a sense of wishing well. If some being didn't wish you well, you wouldn't be alive. Because human animals, when they're first born, if they don't receive some well-wishing, they die because they aren't capable of looking after themselves.
Oh. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Huh. Something caused media download to fail partway, it says. I'm going to shut it down and try again. I'm very sorry. I've never had that happen before. I'm going to have to look at the screen and figure out what's going on. But one of the points he says over and over is this idea that he talks about it in terms of life wishing us well. And to realize that, in fact, throughout our life, there have been beings wishing us well. We may not have even known them. Recall how at the end of every one of our, or many of our gatherings here, we chant that dedication of offerings, dedication of blessings, where we wish others well. At the beginning, the chant we did was wishing others well. Well, you're all included in those others. And the whole world is included. So everyone in the world has today received some wishing well. That counts. Just because we haven't heard it with our own ears doesn't mean it's not happening. That there are beings wishing you well all the time. Jenny and I are always wishing you well. And of course, there are many other people, I'm sure, that are wishing each of you well. And that's really important to remember. So I'm going to let Miss Ross say anything she might say, and I'm going to see if I can get this video working again.
Yeah, thanks. And, I think this is really an important thing for us to remember, because y'all can think about what your upbringing was, but we're always told not to be self-centered and to always think of others. And we're told we're not good enough and we're not doing enough. And, so much of our life, we've been hearing the message that, we aren't good enough, or we shouldn't wish ourselves well. That's selfish, and, but it's really not helpful. And I think that's part of what I found really helpful in Buddhism and the other Eastern religion teachings. In the Asian countries, that's less of a thing that society says to people as they're being brought up in the society. And even indigenous cultures, Native American, or any indigenous culture, self-worth is a really important thing that's talked about in their culture. And so part of what we're looking at in our meditation and in our practice is how the message we've been getting from our society that gets embedded in our brain affects how we feel about ourselves. And then our practice, we can notice how heavy that feels in the body and the mind, and how unhelpful it is. When we don't feel, when we have doubt, like Ms. Shepherd was talking about, and we all have that doubt. When we feel that, we can feel like how it immobilizes us and doesn't make us able to be with other people or to be helpful to other people, because we feel we're not good enough. And it can cause depression, it causes anxiety, all of these come from it, but it all is just stuff that we've heard that isn't true. And so what we can do then in our practice is really take a good look at how that lands in the mind and the body, and notice, like, oh, this just makes me feel horrible. And then the question is, if something makes you feel horrible, why do we keep doing it? And until we can really notice that, we don't have to believe that all that stuff is true. When we can feel how unhelpful it is. Like, would you tell your friends all this stuff that, we've been taking in and believing about ourselves, the things that, all these negative things? Would we say that to our friends? We wouldn't have a friendship any longer. So what we're training ourselves to do is to be our own best friend, and to believe in ourselves and believe in our goodness, because it really is there. But we have to uncover all the crap that we've been fed in order to see that. And it's really hard sometimes. Believe me, I know. It's really hard. It's the hardest part of my practice. I have the same doubts Ms. Shepherd was talking about. but we know how good it feels when we connect with other people, when we can do something good for somebody else. But it has to start by doing something good for ourselves. We can't show up as our best self if we have doubts about it. And that's what we look at in our practice, and it's not easy. And it's the crazy thing about our human nature is we learn to latch on to the negative stuff and forget about the positive. You know, it's like fear, like that's it's a strong emotion. And so we remember that. And we remember all the bad things we did, but we don't remember the good things we did. And that's a conscious practice, is to remember our acts of generosity to other people or to ourselves, the goodness that we do for other people, and the good things we do in this world. We need to consciously remember that, because that's not something that we normally do. We remember the bad only. And again, noticing how that feels in the mind, the body, we can feel the negative consequences of that. And then let it go. You know, like, why carry that weight? So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Ms. Shepherd, what do you think?
Thank you. What I think is I'm going to try this again. I do not know. I've never had that happen, but I'm going to try it again. So thank you. See if we can't hear what Ajahn Vajiro has to say. Try this one more time. Is there?
Existence depends on a sense of wishing well. If some being didn't wish you well, you wouldn't be alive. Because human animals, when they're first born, if they don't receive some well-wishing, they die, because they aren't capable of looking after themselves. And I feel that all life requires well-wishing, and getting in touch with that sense of, I wish myself well. You know, when I was a teenager and I thought, I don't want to waste this life, is because I thought, well, actually, I wish myself well. Somewhere in there. Now, somewhere along the way, I felt, well, I'm doing something wrong, and I don't like this, and I don't like that. But that recognition of what I don't like, or I don't like about myself, or I don't like about what's happening, is only behind all of that. There's actually a sense of, I wish myself well. So, you know, and if when I was at university, there was a piece of water, and I was taken there by somebody, and we were looking at it, and there was a sign sticking out of the water, and it was a slightly sort of rotten sign, and it was sticking out, and the first letter dropped off or something. It said anger, and then, you know, if you add a first letter to that, I think you get close to danger. And it's you know, it's not wrong to be angry, but it is dangerous. It's not wrong to notice what's wrong. That's making things very complicated. And it's not wrong to notice that there are things wrong in your life, or there are things wrong in other people's lives. But be careful. You know, noticing something's wrong is actually something to do with wisdom. It's not, I don't want to knock it, but know that you don't know, and start proceeding from a sense of at least understanding your limitation and trying to do something that will relieve whatever stress you have and problems that you have and other people have, and then appreciating the opportunity and having joy in that. So what I would like to talk about today is, you know, get that attitude right, get in touch, actually viscerally, with the sense of wishing yourself well. Make it so that it's something through your body, and even, you know, do that through your body. You know, wish the body well, so that it's know what it's like to feel that within your body.
Okay, I'm going to play another little short segment and then we can talk.
Lovely. You spoke about feeling a sense of well-wishing for oneself, but what about if someone feels so bad about oneself, so contemptuous, that it's really hard to get that sense of generating well-wishing or feeling well towards oneself? What would you advise?
But that's your homework. It is mentioned as your homework, but what I recognize is that, however badly you feel about yourself, it's because you wish you were better. Yeah? If you feel really contemptuous about yourself and really bad about yourself, it's because you wish you were better. And you have to be in touch with the sense of, I wish myself better. It's there. It's there. That's my confidence for you. It's because, and other beings wish you better, actually. There are many beings that wish you well. How many times have people chanted and how many times have people practiced, may all beings be well? How many lifetimes since the time of the Buddha, since before the time of the Buddha, people wished, may all beings be well? And you are included in all beings. So beings have wished you well, from Sariputta, Moggallana, all the great disciples, all the way through all the Arahants have wished you well. You may think that you're contemptuous and absolutely hopeless, but beings wish you well, have wished you well. And it is something to get in touch with. But I think in the homework, I say, think of what you feel is your highest aspiration. What do you wish for yourself? Even if it's, may I be free from this sense of contempt and loathing, self-loathing, that's already a wish, isn't it? May I be free from this sense of contempt and self-loathing. May I notice may I notice that which actually wishes myself well? But you have to articulate it clearly. That's really helpful. Make it something that's clear in your mind as a thought. And then repeat. And you can work it out so that it's the first thought that you have in the morning. Before you even start thinking anything else, you can decide what you think. You may think that's impossible, but if you think that's impossible, you're not going to try. What you believe is important. But if you believe it's possible, then you might try it. Some people find it easier than others, some people don't. The way to do it is to decide what your first thought's going to be. Then if you wake up in the night, if you remember, think the thought. If you forget when you first wake up, don't worry. As soon as you start thinking, think the thought. And repeat. And you'll find that you can do it. Because you've probably all worked out that you can decide when you wake up. That's something that's not difficult to do. Without even a clock, you can do that. And you can decide on your first thought. The default for many people is, oh, is that the time? Do I have to get up? But that's the default. You can reprogram your programs. You can reprogram what that is, but it takes effort to abandon that which is unskillful and to practice that which is skillful. But if you can be in touch with that sense of, I wish myself well, and viscerally feel it, that's excellent. And then the body itself is something you can also get onto. Because this is the animal that we live with. And it really responds to kindness, I find. You know, if the attention through the body is kind, and actually giving attention through the body is kind, noticing the bits that aren't hurting, noticing the bits that are neutral, noticing the bits that are whatever it is, a sense of kindness through the body, it loves it. And it can help you get in touch with something.
So, hopefully that's something just to sort of plant in the mind. And remember periodically, sort of touch in through the day. Am I wishing myself well in this very moment? In this moment, are the thoughts I'm having kind, of help to me or others, or not? And what would change if I were wishing myself well? What would be different, both in the body and in the mind? What would that be like? Maybe you can't do it, and that's possible. There might be times where you feel you can't do it, but even knowing what would be necessary for it to happen is kind of the first step. What would be needed for that to happen? And maybe you realize, you think what would be needed and you say, well, that's impossible. That could never happen. But at least you know, just like he was saying, knowing you know is really important. Well, that is what would be necessary. And maybe I can't do it right now, but maybe another time I could. Maybe in 15 minutes, it'll seem more possible. Or maybe tomorrow morning, it seems more possible. Maybe once I've had some food, it'll seem more possible. So, this is a little vague and a little unspecific, but hopefully it's just kind of I wanted to share it just sort of as an idea to plant in the mind of what would it mean to wish myself well all the time. So I think we'll end with the meditation. Is there anything you want to say before that, Ms. Ross?
No, I think I said my piece probably. Thank you.
Okay. Would you like to lead the meditation?
Sure, I would be happy to do that. So, as my teacher would say, we'll let go of the words and I'll ring a bell just to transition us. And with the fading of the sound of the bell, just coming into our meditation posture, whatever is comfortable to feel grounded and yet upright and alert, relaxed. And just noticing, how is the mind, how is the body right now? After hearing all those words, those ideas, there's probably an overall sense of the body and the mind. Maybe there's a sense of energy thinking, yeah, I could do that. Or maybe there's a sense of doubt and disbelief that's causing tension, Or maybe now that most of that talking is done, you're going to sleep, just noticing how is it right now? This mind and this body are like this. And then setting the intention to bring awareness to the body. How does the body feel? Does it feel relaxed or is it tight? Not judging it, but just noticing how it is. And probably it's a little combination of both. Maybe there's some tension. But somewhere there's a sense of ease. So maybe tune into that. Where is the body at ease? And maybe you could just even scan down. You know, is it in the eyes? Oh no, they're a little crunched up. How about the jaw? Oh, that might be tight. Maybe the shoulders are relaxed. Maybe not. How about the hands? Are the hands relaxed? The heart center, the breath, belly, is it tight or is it relaxed? Legs, feet. Where is there a sense of ease in the body? Bringing the awareness there, wherever it is. And maybe it's just the rhythm of the in and out breath, bringing energy into the body, and then releasing energy on the out. Just noticing where there's ease. And if the mind feels confused, finding some place of ease, maybe just rest in the hands. Sense of the hands being supported, maybe on the legs. Feeling that sense of connection, the pressure, the grounding. Inviting ease. The body at ease. Just noticing that. The body at ease is like this. And how's the mind? Is the mind at ease? If not, can we soften, widen our awareness to invite ease to the mind? So we can set the intention to notice spaciousness in the mind, ease in the mind, ease in the body, even if it initially feels tense. By setting this intention, we can invite more ease and more space in our life, which is an act of generosity to ourselves. We can wish ourselves well, invite that sense of well-being into this mind, this body. Let this be our practice. Sound of the bell, we'll come back to awareness of our surroundings. And Miss Shepherd and I are here with you.
Thank you, Ms. Ross. So with her guidance, I thought of, she mentioned the word generosity, and that's actually what I was thinking of. You may remember that many other times we've talked about dana, generosity, being the foundation of the whole practice. That all of our practice begins with generosity. When the Buddha was asked, how does one begin this path? It begins with generosity. And I know how much generosity there is in the institutions where you are. I've seen it over and over, how you share with one another, you watch out for one another, you care for one another. If somebody has something that somebody else wants, you give it to them. I've seen the enormous generosity over and over. And so this idea of well-wishing is giving that same generosity to yourself. It's not a generosity of things, it's a generosity of well-wishing. And that's the generosity we all have, no matter how little we have materially. We all have that ability to be generous and well-wishing, wishing to ourselves and to each other. And I know I've seen you do it. People who I know don't have very much materially, have one blanket, and yet you share the little you have. And that's really, that's what this path is about. That's a beautiful thing. And it's the most important thing to have, is that open-hearted generosity. And what we were talking about today is remembering to not leave yourself out of that generosity, to give yourself that same generosity that you are so willing to give one another. So it was lovely to be with you. Thank you for welcoming us and letting us share in this way. We do wish we could hear from you, but maybe someday. We should do our dedication. Anything before we do the dedication, Ms. Ross?
No.
Okay.
Just wish you all well. I'm sending you good wishes.
So may the merit of our time together, our practice together, support and nourish each of us. May we feel inner wealth so that we know the joy of generosity, of giving. May we always offer goodwill to others and to ourselves. May we see our own limits, but with compassion, just as we offer compassion to others. May our practice train our hearts in clarity, kindness, and wisdom. And may all beings, not one left out, not a single one, be well, be safe, and be free from suffering. So do be well, and we will look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Take care.
Take care.